r/AskReddit, people who have had COVID-19 or know someone who did, how bad was it? My mom had COVID, started as a fever then quickly worsened. Within days she was in the hospital on oxygen, seriously thought she was going to die. My dad has COVID, he has zero symptoms and probably had it for days before the results. My dad is diabetic with kidney failure and multiple other health issues. Why my mother, who's mostly healthy, reacted so badly compared to my dad is uttering bewildering. Edit. For the love of God, if you have symptoms of COVID-19, please stay home. Don't ignore the signs. If you don't have symptoms, wear a mask and gloves whenever you leave your home. Please be careful and safe. 30-year-old friend had it. He was so sick that his roommates were almost afraid to check on him in his room because they thought they'd find him dead. Getting out of bed to go to the bathroom took all of his strength. He's fine now, but it took a few weeks for his lungs to feel even remotely normal. My grandmother got it. In her late 80s and in a nursing home. She probably weighs 70 pounds and can barely sit up on the best of days. She had a fever for a week and a mild cough, then recovered. We're shocked. She's so weak that when the home told us she had it, we all thought she had no chance of beating it. Weird how it can kill strong healthy people, but somehow spare her. 3 friends, 2 of which had families. One was living alone, so they all decided to live with each at the alone guy's house so their families didn't have to suffer the illness, and if one of them got badly sick the less sick guys could take care of him. They got a bad fever and a dry cough, and one of them lost his sense of taste for a little while afterwards, but they came out of it fine otherwise. Edit. Have families, not had. My friend is in Italy. He got it, and was sick/bedridden for a week while his girlfriend had just some aches. Both his parents, his grandparents and his uncle died, all within a week. Edit. To lessen the horror I will add that his aunt had it too, but recovered. Sorry, it's a rough one for a Monday. I had it. I was basically bedridden for 2 weeks, barely doing anything except sleeping. Even then, I kept waking up at night a sweaty mess. I spread it to all my family members, but they showed extremely minor symptoms. Pretty weird stuff. To answer questions, when I had COVID-19, I developed hives. The onset of COVID-19 was extremely sudden, developing hives and a fever of 102 within an hour. I was also very confused and tired all the time. I didn't go outside much prior to getting COVID-19. I did make a full recovery within 2 weeks. I did not require hospital care. My uncle died from it. He died at his house while in self-quarantine. Didn't know he died until after he didn't call or answer his phone after 2 days. Just heard this morning that a friend of mine died last night. Her partner called 911 when she took a turn for the worse, and in the time it took the EMTs to get there she'd already passed. It was that quick. She'd been tested, knew she was positive. She was told to stay at home unless her symptoms got worse. She felt sick, but not rushed to the hospital sick. Until last night. I'm trying to comfort myself knowing she'd rather die in her own bed than in a hospital surrounded by strangers. My mom went from minor tickling throat to being taken away in an ambulance by people in hazmat. 3 days later unable to breathe. 2 weeks later she died. No major health issues. She was sedated as soon as she went into hospital and on a ventilator for the duration. Eventually her organs started failing and there was nothing else they could do other than turn the ventilator off and let her go. Edit. Thank you for all the awards and messages etc. I wasn't expecting it. I know in most cases something like this is difficult to talk about, but because of the current global situation it all seems unreal. I don't mind talking about this and answering questions. Obviously it is such a weird virus, so my mom's experience may be different to others. It kind of feels like she is lost at sea. She went away and we couldn't see her. Now we are just waiting for the knock on the door with her ashes and someone saying I'm sorry for your loss. My friend was tested positive. He is quarantined at home with a little fever, muscle pain and a light cough. He is getting better every day it seems. My sister, who was 47 with no underlying health issues, passed away from COVID-19. It took 10 days. She was in the hospital for the last 3. The scary part is she was making a recovery. Her lungs at day 7 were operating at 83% and after 2 days in the hospital she had got them to 95%. In 29 hours it was a complete 180. I was able to text with her. She kept saying she was having a really tough time but didn't go into much detail. My brother-in-law and 2 nephews also had it. He mistakenly thought his COVID was just from a good gym workout, as his body was just really sore. My nephew, age 13, puked one night and had a fever for a few hours. The youngest, Age 7, never had any symptoms and felt fine. All tested positive. Dad got infected after going in and out of the hospital for his 4th brain surgery because the doctors keep messing up. After testing positive, the hospital sent him home, so he infected Mom also. After passing, for some reason, they sent his body home, but nobody can touch it because of the possibility of getting infected. After Dad's passing, Mom went to the hospital to get tested. She already knew, she just wanted treatment, but was sent home. She collapsed while walking to her car. They admitted her but only gave her 4, told her she was positive, then sent her home again. It's been rough. Edit. I'm in California for school and currently not with my parents. The funeral home sent it to my parents' house. I'm unclear of the reasons why, since I'm not there and my parents does not speak English. It must have been a mistake. They've taken the body back. For everyone that's worried, thank you. I've gotten some family members over there to help my mother out. As of for suing the hospital, I don't think our family is mentally or financially ready for that right now. My father had to get 4 surgeries because the first time, the doctors told us surgery went well, but had to go back in since the sutures erupted. We asked what happened. That's when they told us there were complications during the first surgery. Then he stayed in the hospital alone for a few days, and somehow the area got infected. So there goes surgery number 3. Then the 4th surgery is probably when he got infected with COVID-19. They then released him after the 4th surgery. I do not feel comfortable discussing where my parents are located since it is a small town, and everybody knows each other. Thank you for your condolences. ICU nurse checking in. I just got cleared to go back to work tomorrow after testing positive a couple weeks ago. How bad was it compared to the COVID patients I've treated? Nothing. I didn't even have a fever or shortness of breath. Our ICU patients are so sick. All the things you've heard about on the news: hypoxia, blood clots, multi-system organ failure. We've had many people in their 30s and 40s with no pre-existing conditions who've ended up just as sick as the 80-year-olds. And many of them haven't had good outcomes. Sadly, I work at a major hospital where we routinely get the sickest patients transferred to us from smaller hospitals, so I realize I'm seeing the extreme opposite end of the spectrum. But it is scary. My symptoms were also minor and non-specific that I blew them off or chalked them up to other things: spring allergies, dry hospital air, sleeping poorly on my shitty mattress, working overtime for several days until I realized I'd profoundly lost my sense of smell and taste. That's when I knew I had to get tested. Lo and behold, it was positive. It sucked. But I'm very grateful I wasn't any sicker than I was, and especially that I have health insurance and work at a place that paid for my COVID-specific sick leave as well as having paid sick leave in general. I know there are so many other people out there who don't have such a safety net, and it seems very unfair. So, my dad tested positive, and right now for him is just like a bad flu. Because the test results came back 3 days later, we continued to act normally as a family, so my mom and I probably have it too. We are almost 100% positive that my mom also has it because she is losing her sense of smell and has been having similar symptoms like my dad. There is a big chance I have it too, but I have not presented any symptoms so far. My sister was an extremely healthy non-smoker who works at a prominent hospital. She was exposed to one of the hospital's first corona patients weeks and weeks ago when naivety was very much a thing and precaution wasn't taken very seriously. The patient tested negative but then positive after her exposure. She didn't take the same precautions because he tested negative when he was in fact positive. She certainly contracted the virus despite testing negative twice. She was ungodly sick, and even weeks and weeks later she's still using an inhaler and has a lasting cough and perhaps lung inflammation and damage. She's 31. I'm currently recovering. I'm a 30-year-old male with no health issues, so maybe that's the reason, but for me it was like a mild cold. Felt crummy from Tuesday night to Thursday. Started feeling better Friday. Now I just have a bit of a cough and weird headaches. The testing process was a pain though. First one was inconclusive, so I had to get a DRS note and go get another test. I've had 4 people in my life pass from it so far. 1. Former co-worker and friend was one of the first people in the US to die from it. He was 34 years old and only had childhood asthma. 2. A great friend and collaborator I had just stayed with a month before. He was 39 years old and no pre-existing conditions. 3. My best friend's mother, who was like a second mother to me. She was 63 years old with no pre-existing conditions. 4. My grandmother, who was in a nursing home. She was 90 and was relatively healthy for her age. All passed within 2 weeks of showing symptoms. With the exception of my grandma, they all were home for the first week, then were admitted to the hospital as their conditions worsened. Edit. Thank you for the outpouring of love and support. In a time where the normalcy of grieving and saying a final goodbye has been flipped on its head, your words mean a lot. If you have a specific question, feel free to DM or post and I will answer. I'm AMD in NYC at a designated COVID-19 center. 15% of pregnant patients here have COVID-19. Of those positive patients, 87% are completely asymptomatic. We just admitted another one half an hour ago. She looks fine. It's good that so many don't get real sick, but it's scary because they are likely walking around spreading it. My best friend had it and was non-stop coughing with fevers to 103.6 and every flu-like symptom you could imagine for about 3 weeks with a slow recovery. Said it was horrible. Terrible cough when I was FaceTiming him. One of my co-residents had it and felt like hell for about 2 weeks. Cough, fever, body aches. 2 family friends in their 60s has it and were laid out at home for about 1.5 weeks. One was kinda stuck in bed and the other weekly supported the 2 until they improved on their own. The common thing I hear is that it's like a horrible fever that just stays and stays and stays. You keep thinking you turn the curve, but the next day you're still sick until it runs its course. The really sick patients in the hospital it was really horrible for a long time. Things have slowed down thanks to social distancing and all the precautionary measures. I'm worried about going backwards though because the people in my area are walking around without masks or their nose out. Everybody has a reason for going out or not wearing a mask. The virus does not care what your reason is. It does not care. Edit. Thanks for the cool awards. I like the scrub Reddit dude/dudette. What do I do with snoo coins? My trainer at the gym had it. She is an ordinarily healthy woman in her 40s and very fit. She had high fever, it was hard to breathe, exhaustion and brutal muscle aches. She found it hard to walk across her bedroom. She lost her sense of smell also. Suspected neurological symptoms too. Memory problems and trouble finding words. 3 weeks after her quarantine ended, she still feels like sh/t. She is out of breath very easily. I saw her loading groceries into her car and it was hard for her. She is still having memory problems. She recovered at home, no hospital. I tested positive today for COVID. I'm a 23F, in good health and it's been horrible for me. Cough, chest pains to the point that simply breathing is almost unbearable, fever, chills. I could go on. Not to mention the swab itself is a nasty test. Goes up your nose and down the sinus cavity where they rub the swab up and down for 10 seconds. I now know why this kills people.